Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I am Ryan Boland. Thank you all for joining me. What I want to talk about today is an article I read where pop star Lizzo stated that pop music is, quote, inherently racist. Okay. Now, before we even go any further in this, as I read the article and began to analyze the article and reminisce on things that I had studied in the past about the nature of music in America and the early history of America from the 1900s up until maybe like the 1970s and so forth. There's a lot. There are some things that she's saying that is true, believe it or not. But that's not what I'm going to criticize here. We're going to get into this article. What I'm going to criticize is the magazine that actually asked her this question. So let's get right into this article. Once again, people mouthing off and just saying things just to be saying things. It's crazy, man. It's just absolutely crazy. I'm not going to go no further. I'm going to give you my thoughts on this because they're all bubbling in my head. So let's get right into this article. It says, mega pop star Lizzo has made the outlandish claim that pop music, now, of course, that's an opinionated statement there from his article, of course, but made the outlandish claim that pop music itself is, quote, racist inherently, arguing that the genre was created to segregate black artists from mainstream music with the intent to ghettoize them in genres like R&B. I don't know how accurate that is, but let's read this. In an interview Friday with Entertainment Weekly, Lizzo, whose net worth is estimated to be around $12 million, I take that, was asked about what it's like for a black singer to perform, quote, pop music, which the magazine called, quote, white feeling. Now, before I even get into what she's going to say, what her answer is, why in the world would you ask her this question? Why would you ask her to say, what is it like, to sing, to perform pop music? I mean, why would you ask her that? As a black, why would you ask her as a black singer, what is it like to perform pop? Why would you ask her a question like that? This kind of stuff keeps the race relation tension stirred up. But I'm not going to go, I'm going to elaborate on it a little bit. Let's go further into this article. Absolutely. Well, genre's racist inherently, she said. I think if people did any research, they would see that there was race music and then there was pop music. And race music was their way of segregating black artists from being mainstream because they didn't want their kids listening to music created by black and brown people because they said it was demonic and yada, yada, yada. Now, before I read any further, there is some truth, as I said earlier in the introduction of this video, there is some truth to what she has said here. In the early history of America, the music was segregated. It was either called, I think it was called race music or black music or colored music, but it was segregated. There was segregation. She's right about that. Whether or not it was segregated because they didn't want white people to listen to whatever, it was segregated. Whatever reason is behind it, it was segregated. So she's right about that. Okay. When she makes a statement, race music was their way of segregating black artists from being mainstream because they didn't want their kids listening to music created by black and brown people because they said it was demonic and yada, yada, yada. It wasn't so much that they said it was demonic, yada, yada, yada. It wasn't all about necessarily being demonic. It was just that it was black music. And many of the, I wouldn't say many, but certain groups of white people at that time felt that blacks were inferior. They were racist. So people, and executives and producers in the record company were racist. So they separated that kind of music. They didn't want their music mainstream, not just because they felt it was beneath them, but they didn't want blacks to get all the money. Because once you become pop, which is the bigger audience, okay, then you're going to make more money. But let's go on. Or your music is going to be exposed to a bigger audience, thus putting you in the category to make more money off the sales. Let's go on. Lizzo said people associate, quote, pop music with MTV in the 80s, which was geared towards people in the middle of America. And we all know what that's coded. That's code for. She said, no, we don't all know what it's coded for. I don't know what you mean by that. She's right about the fact that MTV in the 80s was geared towards people in the middle of America, because Mostly, and I grew up during that era. I'm an 80s kid. And MTV, most of the videos were rock and roll videos and so forth that was mostly sung by white rock and roll groups. And it was aimed towards middle America. It was aimed towards a pop culture. And the pop culture then, as it is now, mostly consists of white people. Why? Well, the reason for that is because there's more whites in America than there is blacks. Whites, it's 360 million people in America, give or take a few. Whites make up 60% of that at least. That's about 180 million at the most, at least rather. And then blacks only make up 13% of that 360 million. That's 40 to 42 million. So needless to say, the white audience is going to be the pop audience because it's the bigger audience, okay? MTV videos in the 80s was geared towards that bigger audience. Most whites then listened to rock and roll music. But of course, there was complaints from black artists at the time that they wanted their music to be exposed more too, so they could get more play and more exposure to the bigger audience. They wanted their music to be exposed as well. And many black artists knew that then, as they do now, okay? Because really when it all comes down to what is it really all about? Let's be realistic. Before I go any further, let's be realistic to all these black artists, singers out here who want to be for the people. I just want to sing my music for the people, man. I just want to be funk. And I just want to be hip hop. Okay, really? Okay, I get that. It's cool. It's cool. But at the end of the day, you want to make money, right? The best way you can actually, if you really want to really make money, you're going to have to cross over into the pop audience, which is mostly consistent of white people. It is what it is. Which means you may have to change up some things in your music to appeal to that segment. Okay, it is what it is. But I don't hear no beat. When black artists crossed over, I didn't hear too many of them complaining when they started making all that money. Because at the end of the day, whatever kind of music you made, when you was making that money, you was happy. I guarantee you, if you wasn't making any money, you might be for the people, rah, black power and all that. But you gonna get tired of going home eating bologna sandwiches and sleeping on a blanket. You want to make that money. It is what it is. And then she makes a statement, we all know that what that's coded for. I don't know what that's coded for. Whoever has something to say about what that's coded for, leave it in the comment box below because I don't know what the heck she's talking about. But anyway, let's go on that statement. Now let's check this out. Come on here. The singer made a passing reference to two black stars, pop stars with mass audiences, Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. But she and the magazine bizarrely ignored numerous other black pop stars. I knew they was going to do this. Michael Jackson, Tina Turner, Beyonce, Lionel Richie, Prince, John Legend, Alicia Keys, and many more. Absolutely. One of them was Stevie Wonder. Come on, man. I mean, come on. You know, the Supremes. I mean, the Marvelettes. The Ronettes. I mean, all these groups, man, you know what I'm saying? Look, they all had mass appeal. They all had mass appeal. You know, you want to overlook them? They overlook them because here's the thing about magazines and groups like Entertainment Weekly and whatever. They've been infiltrated. I believe they've been infiltrated by Marxist insurgents whose main emphasis is to keep division among the races, to create their race revolution, to create a race war. That's what I believe. I've been believing it for the longest, and it is what it is. That's what I believe. I believe that's what they're trying to push. They can't push that if blacks and whites are unified. They got to keep us divided. So they do purposeful things like this, keep the chip on black people's shoulder, walking around, you people racist. But then when you ask them about modern day racism and or whether or not it's evident or not, they can't describe it to you. Well, they can't describe it to you because it's not evident. We have grown so much here in America today, but yet these liberal Marxist organizations and magazines and politicians and and think tanks or whatever you want to call them constantly push this division. This division is on purpose. When are the American people, black and white, but mainly black people, going to wake up and smell the coffee and see that you're being played like a violin? You are being played. They're pumping your mind full of this division, and they're doing this with Lizzo, who's supposed to be a pop star, right? And which is amazing to me because this woman sings to all these white people, but yet you say these kind of things towards white people, which makes me think, why would a white person want to buy your music if you? That's just I'm ranting. Let's go on. I wouldn't even buy. I'm saying, man, I'm not going to buy your music. You want to talk crazy like that and put my race down and put my people down, make me feel like I'm, a racist inherently. Man, I don't got time for that. I wouldn't even buy the music. Anyway, on Friday, Lizzo posted a slow-mo Instagram video in which she twerked in her underwear to promote her Yiddy line of clothes for plus-size women. Okay, I get it. You want to have love for yourself or whatever. But there's a video of her in this article right now that I'm looking at right now of her standing here with a bra on and some underwear on, and I didn't even watch. I'm not going to even bother to watch her twerking. I don't even want to see that. She did it She did it before. I don't want to see that mess. As Breitbart News reported, Lizzo landed on the November cover of Vanity Fair magazine for an interview in which she spoke about abortion, being fat, and playing President James Madison's crystal flute while twerking. And I did a video on that some months ago, and I spoke out against it and gave my opinion on that. I felt that was distasteful. Whether somebody was telling her to do that or whether she decided to do it on her own, it was distasteful, and it was a bad reflection of black people and black women in particular. The pop star also addressed criticism that her music is aimed at white audiences. I am not making music for white people, she said. This is what she was supposedly said back then. Despite that claim, the pop star has worked predominantly with white producers and songwriters on her last 3 albums, partnering on some of her greatest hits with the rock band Ex-Ambassadors, whose members are all white. So that's the end of the article there. Look, man, look. She call it what you want to call it. Look, at the end of the day, it's all about money. It's all about money. And I can't help but wonder if Lizzo, if she's so pro-black as she seems to suggest, if she's so pro-black, why don't you just go ahead and say, well, to the producers, well, you know what? I'm getting tired of singing for you white people. I'm getting tired of singing for these white audiences. I'm just going to sing for black people. Just make music for quote-unquote black people. You know what I mean? Make music once your contract is over from the white music studios. Once your contract is over, sign up with the black music studios or whatever, and sign up with them, and you just make music for black people. That way, you don't got to keep hooping and hollering and yakking about black this and black that. And I don't make music for white people and this, that, and the other, keeping the division going. That way, you ain't got to do that. Just sing for black. I'm just suggesting. That's my suggestion. Okay. Because I'm getting sick and tired of hearing this foolishness and this nonsense from these black celebrities and people like her. Like I said, I love all people, man, with the love of God. I love all people. And I respect their opinions and I respect their views. Hopefully they respect my opinion and respect my views. If they don't, tough. I'm going to give my opinion. I'm going to give my view anyway. But there has to come a point where you have to draw a line and say, well, I'm not going to talk about this kind of stuff. I'm not going to answer questions like this that keep division going. All these white people are buying my music, and you want to answer me. You want to ask me in an interview from Entertainment Weekly, want to ask me about this, about some nonsense like this. What does it feel to sing pop music? Why would you, for white audiences, why would you ask me something like this? It keeps the stuff going. Most people probably don't even think about racial issues until the media or the government mentions it. Then that's why it's constantly before us. It's constantly before us because these outlets keep mentioning it. Let me end the video on this. Something Morgan Freeman said in an interview, and I forget the man's name. This is some years ago. And the interviewer asked, and I'm paraphrasing some of what he said because I can't remember right on top of my head what he said, but he said, what do you think about race relationships? What do you think about the race relationships here in America? Something along that line he asked. And Morgan Freeman said, stop talking about it. Man looked at him and was like, he said, yeah, stop talking about it. If we stop talking about it, we won't keep thinking about it. If we keep thinking about it, we won't keep worrying about it. And then he said, and I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black actor, and I'm going to stop calling you a white person. Basically, what Morgan Freeman was saying was that we're all in this thing together. We're all Americans. I just happen to be black. You just happen to be white. But we all, for the most part, embrace the same values that Americans embrace. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom, all the values that we mostly embrace, that makes us America. We may be from different ethnic groups, we may be from different religious groups, but we all, for the most part, embrace the same American values based on the Constitution and things that we normally do here in America. So start with the white and the black and the this and the that. I say the same thing. Stop talking about it. We won't have to deal with it. We won't have to keep talking about it if you don't talk about it. We won't keep talking about it if you don't talk about it. And is there racism in America? Yes, there's racism in America. Just like there's racism in every country, man. Common sense would tell you that. Common sense would tell you that. Racism is when you consider one particular individual or group of people inferior to yourself and you superior to them. That is the textbook definition of racism, not some made up junk that people keep saying, well, I think it's this. No, ain't but what you think. What's the real definition? That's the real definition. And guess what? Every country has it. I am an American and I'm proud to be an American. I'm black and I'm proud to be black. It is what it is. I don't care about all this other stuff. I don't want to hear about it. Don't come to me about it. I'm going to ignore you and walk away. I mean, if I do say something to you, you better hope and pray. I hope you're not too sensitive. But anyway, look, man, that's my spin on it. What do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe to this channel. God bless you all and see you again.